Cade. Today we're going to be discussing every single book that I read in 2025. I read just a little bit over 30 books, and I know that's not a lot compared to a lot of booktubers who have read like 100 books this year or something. But I did have a few pretty significant reading slumps this year, as much as I hate to admit that. Next year I'm going to be better, but let's just forget about that. It's all in the past. We're talking about what I did read, not what I didn't read. So of course I'm going to be ranking these in tier list form. So if you don't know how that works, I'm going to give a quick summary. And if you do know how it works, just follow this timestamp and you can skip it. So our list is going to look like this. S tier is going to be the highest tier on the list. This is the best of the best, my favorite books of the year. And then A tier is going to be really great books, books that I love, but there's just a little something holding them back from being S tier. Then B tier are books that I think are good books. Maybe I wouldn't reread them, but I did enjoy my time with them, and they just weren't like the best of the best. C tier, I think the best way to describe it is just, I didn't really like this. D tier is where we get into why did I read this and waste my time with this? And of course, last is F tier. F tier is the worst of the worst. This is designated for books that I am just like, this sucked. I'm angry that I wasted my time on this, and I dislike this with a passion. Just in case you want to know, my list is going to be organized by the date that I finished the book, not the date that I started the book. So whatever my Goodreads says is the date that I finished, that's the order that these are in. One last thing I'll say before I get into this, please, just stay calm. Let's be civil about this, okay? I'm already nervous. I have a feeling that some of these takes are going to really ruffle a few feathers. So it's all fun and games. It's just my opinion. But with that being said, let's get right into it. First on the list, and a good start to the year, is Fyodor Dostoevsky's White Nights. I like this book, but it's not really my style. I think I'm going to put this one in B tier right off the bat. I normally love Dostoevsky. Basically everything I've read by him has been top tier. This one just kind of, it's very short. It's really a short story, and it's not my favorite, but it's still a good book. I enjoyed it. Same cannot be said with this next book. This is the one I'm really worried is going to have people upset. Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This one's going to go in D tier for me. Don't kill me. Hear me out. This is the first Stephen King book that I have tried to read, and I just wasn't impressed with it. I finished it, I put it down, and I said to myself, is that what everybody's ranting on about? I didn't get it. Hey, maybe it just wasn't for me. I think the kind of story themes didn't resonate with me as much as maybe they would for someone else, but I don't know. This has really put me off of Stephen King, if I'm being honest. I haven't tried to read anything else of his. Saying that now, I think it might be a good idea to do a video sometime in the new year of trying to give Stephen King a second chance. So, I don't know, if you know a Stephen King book that maybe you don't like Pet Sematary, but you like another book, let me know. Because I guess I'll have to try something else of his out. Okay, another good one, Infinite Jest. It's going in A tier. I just did a full video on this book, so if you want my in-depth thoughts on it and kind of analysis, as much as I can provide an analysis, you know, I'm not the brightest bulb. This book is really good. It just has a few things preventing it from being S tier, I think. I really wish I could put it in S tier, but there's a few little spots that just kind of keep it from that for me. Then we got Clockwork Orange. This one's going to go in C tier. I know a lot of people love this book. I didn't get the praise. I mean, I got the themes and everything of the book. I understood what it was going for. I just think it was kind of, it wasn't my style again. I think some of these I'm just going to have to say it's not my style, and I guess y'all are just going to have to take my word for that, because the whole book is written in like an accent, and it makes it pretty hard to follow along with the book and read it really smoothly. It's not a bad book by any means. It's just not something I'm interested in. Here's something I am interested in. Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. I'm dropping this in S tier. I was gonna go A tier, but looking back on it and thinking about my time reading this book, this might have been one of the most fun times I had reading a book this year. This book does such a good job at just being engaging and keeping your attention the whole time and everything. And it's dinosaurs. Who's gonna say no to dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are awesome. Dinosaurs are cool. There's a book about dinosaurs escaping and eating people. That deserves S tier. We gotta put it in S tier. That's where it's staying. Jurassic Park. Next up, we've got Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. I'm going to drop this one in B tier, I think. This book, it seems to me like it's kind of aged poorly in some aspects, as well as like not being the best written. But with that said, I think this book is really, really fun. I could put it in A tier if we're just going off fun that I had reading it. Fear and Loathing is really fun. I've described it to people like a roller coaster. You're kind of just along for the ride, and you're joined by these like crazy characters who are getting up to all sorts of antics. So it's really fun to read, but I don't think it's the best. Now we got Michael Crichton's Lost World. This is the follow-up to Jurassic Park, a book that I put in S tier just a second ago. And I'm going to drop this all the way down in F tier. Hear me out when I say this. This book deserves F tier. This book is awful. I'm not going to get into it too much because I'm eventually going to make a whole video. I'm so passionate about this. Jurassic Park, I read it. It's one of my favorite books I've read. I read The Lost World, and I absolutely hate it, and it kind of screws up a lot of what the first book does too. I can talk about it all day. I'm going to talk about it in a video eventually, so I'm going to have to just move on, but I want it known, The Lost World belongs in F tier. Alright, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I'm dropping this in A tier. I read this book in school, and it's one of the only books I remember reading from school, and one of the only books that I remember enjoying reading in school as well. I think John Steinbeck has like a super unique voice in his writing, and I think the thing that he really, really excels at is characters. His characters are always so lively. He'll introduce a character that isn't even a super prominent aspect of the story, and it just feels like a person that has lived decades on this earth and everything. Man, I gotta dig into some more Steinbeck this coming year. Okay, now we have Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I read this book just so I could do a video on it because I thought it would be funny. I'm going to drop it in C tier. But this book is, I think it's hard to deny, especially if you've read this book. It's fun. It's very fun to read. It's not very good, but it's very fun. Like, while you're reading this, you're just like, what? And it's a little creepy in a lot of areas. I'll get into it more when I do my full review of it. But this book this book tore me down a little bit. This one's a rough one, but I'm going to put it in C tier. It's still a fun read. Now we've got The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, and I'm just going to go right ahead and drop this thing in S tier. Another one of my favorite books that I read this year. This book is depressing. It's really just a tragedy, but it's a well-written tragedy, and it really, really pulls at your heartstrings, and it's very well written, and it is heavy in a lot of areas. Lots and lots of difficult themes and subjects covered in this. So don't go into this if you're lighthearted, but if you think you can get through it, I would say pick up this book because it's really good. I love that book. Now we got White Noise by Dawn DeLillo. I don't have too much to say about this one. I'm going to put it in B tier. I think it's kind of a middle-of-the-road average book. I know a lot of people really love this book and say it's one of his best works. I didn't find too much that I liked in it personally. It was alright. World War Z by Max Brooks. This one, I'm dropping it in D tier, right over there with Pet Sematary. This book, I did not enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I read what it was about. I heard some reviews. I thought, man, I bet I'll really like this. Let me pick it up. And it's boring, in my opinion. This book is a written account of the zombie war, and it kind of follows interviews with a bunch of people that fought in the front lines of the zombie war, which is in this universe like just a zombie apocalypse kind of. And so you're kind of meeting with all these like leaders of foreign governments or like, you know, militia movements that formed, or even just people that were on the ground. And something that should be a great narrative tool is just totally wasted, and it's really boring, and it just goes in circles. It never really gets anywhere. I don't think it's very interesting at all. This one. Alright, here we go. Winnie the Pooh. I'm not even going to explain why I read this. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it straight into S tier, because Winnie the Pooh deserves S tier. And if you disagree with me, you can come fight me over it, because Winnie the Pooh is staying in S tier, and you'll have to drag my cold dead body out of this apartment if you want to take Winnie the Pooh off of the S tier of this list. Now that that's out of the way though, we got The Haunted Mask by R.L. Stine. This one's, it's gonna go in A tier. It's a kid's book, so I'm not really gonna judge it to the same extent that I would all the rest of these. But at the same time, if we're going off of how much fun I had reading this, I had a lot of fun reading this book. Then we got Night of the Living Dummy. If you're wondering why I have Goosebumps on here, I did a little video of me reading Goosebumps again as an adult around Halloween time, as kind of like a Halloween special type of thing. So yeah, that one's gonna go in B tier. And then the next one we got is Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns. That one's gonna go in C tier. I won't talk about these too much. If you're really interested in my thoughts on Goosebumps, you can go and watch the full video, I guess. Now we got Twilight New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. I'm going to stay silent on this. You guys are going to have to wait for my full review, but it's going to go down here in C tier. Next up is Mapping the Interior. This is actually going to go in A tier. It's one of my favorite books I've read this year. It's really short. This book is like 90 pages. So if you're looking for a book that you can just kind of blast through in a day or two, go out and buy this. I got mine at Barnes & Noble for $5. This book is great. It's a little bit of a mystery that unravels before your eyes. I won't spoil it too much. It's a little bit of a horror. It's a little bit of a mystery. And it's really good. Then we got The Slob. If you haven't heard of this, it's an extreme horror book, and it is disgusting. But I'm going to drop it in B tier, because it's kind of funny in some parts because of just how over the top disgusting it is. So that's it. It's going to go in B tier. And then the follow-up to that is Son of the Slob. This one's going to go down in D tier, probably above World War Z, below Pet Sematary, I think. This book isn't nearly as fun. It goes from being kind of like insane and disgusting in The Slob to just being really gross and degenerate in this one, and not in a fun way at all. So this one's going to go in D tier. If you want more of my thoughts on that, I did another full video on this one as well. Then we got The Wasp Factory by Ian Banks. This one is really great. I'm going to put this right below Infinite Jest in A tier. I love this book. I've heard it mentioned on some disturbing books icebergs, and I decided to pick it up. And I can say it was very disturbing. Maybe not in the way that I thought it was going to be. But this book is really interesting. And I don't want to spoil it. Some of these books it's hard to talk about because I don't want to spoil it, because I would really rather, if you're watching this and you're interested, you just go out and try to read it, because this one's fascinating. It's a crazy book. I'm actually trying to get my wife to read it right now because I think it'll freak her out. Alright, now we got The Exorcist. This one is going in S tier, and I think I'm going to have to put it at the very top of S tier. I think this is my favorite book I've read all year. I read all like 350 pages of this book in one day, and I'm not trying to act like that's a big accomplishment or something. I know people do that. I don't typically do that. I don't normally have the attention span exactly to sit down for like 9 hours or however long I read this book for and just like breeze through a book like I did with this one. But man, is this story captivating to me. This book is really amazing. I think I'm going to do a reread of this one around Halloween time next year as well. Here is one that I'm afraid to talk about again. This is one of the ones I feel like I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Cormac McCarthy's The Orchard Keeper. This one is going to go in D tier for me. I think it's going to go right below Pet Sematary as well. I cannot believe I'm putting a Cormac McCarthy book below a Stephen King book, but this book was just hard to follow for me. I don't know if it was maybe the timing. Maybe I wasn't in the right headspace while I was reading it, but there was just nothing in this book that I liked, really. It was not interesting. And I'm a pretty big fan of Cormac McCarthy. I've read quite a bit of his stuff. This one just wasn't it. Now we're kind of in my nonfiction era for this month. I did a little bit of a challenge in November. I did nonfiction November, so I read 3 nonfiction books. I probably would have read more if one of them wasn't so big. So I'll breeze through these a little bit because I have a video on these as well. I know I keep saying that. Into the Wild. I'm going to put this one... I think I'm going to put this one in A tier. I really love this book. It was just a fascinating insight into a really unique human being. Then we got Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. This book is like 500 something pages, and I think in my original review I was too light on it. I'm dropping it all the way down to D tier. This book is a big waste of time, I think. And the more I think about it, the more I think I'm really mad at it for wasting my time. Alone on the Wall by Alex Honnold. This one's more of a personal read. This one's going to go in high C tier for me personally. Then we got Star Wars Heir to the Empire. Man, this one I wanted to read because I used to be a huge Star Wars nerd, and I had some friends telling me, hey, you should read these books. We're reading them right now, and we think maybe you'd like them, you know? So I decided to pick it up and read it, and I really like it. I'm going to put it B tier, just below Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's not the best book. It's not the best written, but it's a really fun story to follow. And I mean, what more can you ask for than that? Another one, I'm worried that this might be controversial as well. Journey to the Center of the Earth. I'm dropping this in F tier. This might actually be below The Lost World, and I'm surprised that I'm saying that. I went out and bought a nice edition of this too from Barnes & Noble. A little leather bound with a ribbon and illustrations in it and everything. And by the time I finished it, I was like, why did I even read that all the way through? That was so boring. It's touted as like one of the greats of adventure novels. I don't get it. I don't see what people like about this book at all. There was nothing redeeming about it for me personally. Oh, here we go. Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. I just finished this one pretty recently. This is one of my last reads of the year. I'm going to drop it in A tier, just below Of Mice and Men, I think. It could kind of depend on the day. I could also see it being above Of Mice and Men, also just below. It kind of depends. They're almost neck and neck in my opinion. I read this book when I was a teenager. It was actually one of the first books that I ever read as a teenager on my own accord without being told to by anyone else or, you know, having to read it for school. So for a long time, I was like, this is my favorite book of all time. And just recently, I was watching a video by this YouTuber, Allison Talks Books, and she was talking about rereading books and how a lot of people on BookTok and just readers in general don't reread books enough. And I was like, that's so true. Let me pick up this book that I've been saying is one of my favorites that I haven't read in like 7 or 8 years maybe. So I picked it up, and I still really love this book. I don't think I have as high of praises now for it as I did when I was younger. I think some of the stuff that I read when I was younger that was really mind-bending to me back then now comes across as a little cliche. But I still have a soft spot in my heart for this book. I still really love this book a lot, and it holds a special place in my heart for sure. Now we got Playground by the same author as The Slob, which I talked about earlier. I just finished this one. I'm going to make a whole video on that. It's crazy. It's really wild. I'm going to put it in B. I don't think it's good, but I couldn't stop reading it. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I couldn't put it down because I was like, what? What am I reading? I don't know. We'll see. I'm probably going to try to get that video out real soon because I have some strong reactions to it. The last two are books that I just finished, so I'm going to rank them, but typically for me, I feel like it takes me about a week or two to really settle in on what I thought of a book. So these are kind of subject to change, honestly. We got Fyodor Dostoevsky's House of the Dead. The House of the Dead is a good book. I really love Fyodor Dostoevsky. This just isn't my favorite work of his. It didn't click for me in the same way that a lot of his other stuff has. So I think I'm gonna put it right below Mapping the Interior, maybe. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't like this as much as I thought I would, but it might kind of settle in, and maybe with time I'll come to grow fonder of it. Then we got Confessions by St. Augustine. This one's gonna go in S tier. I don't have too much to say about this. There's plenty of people on YouTube that have done better talks about it than I could ever possibly hope to. So maybe go seek those out if you're really interested in that one. To wrap this all up, I got a little bit of a bonus for you guys. 2 books that I DNF'd this year. I hardly ever DNF books, but these are the 2 that I did this year. Another Roadside Attraction by Tom Robbins. Really just nonsensical, and I think it's supposed to be funny. I didn't find it very funny though, so I DNF'd that one. I've heard a lot of great stuff about Tom Robbins and his kind of absurdist literature, but it was a little too absurd for even me, if I'm being honest. Then we got Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I fell into a big reading slump this year. This book is what caused that reading slump, because I read a little more than halfway into this book, probably almost around 300 pages into this book, maybe more like 270. I'm almost done with this book, and then I was like, I cannot keep pushing through this, because I spent a week just trying to push through this book when I wasn't enjoying it. And it ended up making me have a big reading slump because I tried to do that. And just recently, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to make this video. Why not just read it so I can have it on the end of the year list? And I tried to go back and read like 10 more pages, and I had to DNF it a second time, basically, because it's just not for me. It has a lot to do with kind of time travel and like multiverse stuff. And I see why people like that stuff. I totally get it. It's just not my style. It's really something that I think is kind of cheap, in my opinion, so I just didn't enjoy it at all. I couldn't get through it. We did it. That is all I have for my rankings. I'll flash it up here on the screen once again so you guys can take a look. You guys can grade my work. Tell me if I did good or bad on this, if you disagree with me and why. And yeah, I love talking books and everything, so if you have a disagreement, or maybe you do agree with me on some of the things, or even if you have a recommendation based on these things, just let me know, because I'm always down to discuss books in the comments section and everything. And if you guys have an end of the year list, let me know what was like your favorite that you read this year, and maybe what was your least favorite that you read this year. Maybe even if there's anything that you DNF'd that you just could not find your way through at all, like I did with those. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I really, really appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I will see y'all in the new year with some new videos. See ya.